We are still in Philippians. We are doing a series on being the church. This week, the title is Being Joyful. So we're in chapter 3, and I'm going to be reading verses 1 through 3. Again, this is Paul. He's in prison in Rome. He's writing a letter to this group of Christians that he brought to faith in Christ in this town of Philippi. And that's in the Greek province. So in verse 1 it says, "Whatever happens, my dear brothers and sisters, rejoice in the Lord." Let me just repeat that. Whatever happens, my dear brothers and sisters, rejoice in the Lord. I never get tired of telling you these things, and I do it to safeguard your faith. Watch out for those dogs, those people who do evil, those mutilators who say you must be circumcised to be saved. For we who worship by the Spirit of God are the ones who are truly circumcised. We rely on what Christ Jesus has done for us. We put no confidence in human effort. He goes on to talk about his credentials, which I'm going to stop there. We put no confidence in human effort. I start my sermons, I have a series, and I'm always thinking about things. And so I'll start on Monday, sometimes Sunday night, sometimes Monday morning, reading over the passage again. I read it over several times, and I start mulling, what's the thing that sticks out? And sometimes I'll skip a passage because, it's just not a lot there, it feels like at that moment. And then I start reading it over and start thinking about, why is this in here? Why is it in here? Yeah, rejoice in the Lord. Remember that song? I don't know, maybe you didn't, we kid. Rejoice in the Lord always, again I say rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. It's like, yay! And then life throws you things, and you're like, And so I was thinking about what it is that kills our joy. Now, if you, like I, was blessed to have parents who were full of love, imperfect as they were, but loved us, right? If you had, and really tried hard to be good parents, if you had that, you know the feeling of being a child and just knowing, and it's not like you, as a kid, you're thinking, wow, I've got these great parents and I don't really have to worry about anything. I'm fed every day, got my clothes, I don't have to worry about the boogeyman. They don't really think about that when we're kids. We just experience life. And when something scares us, we can run to a parent and, as a kid, maybe they pick you up and they put you in their arms, and whatever it was that was scary fades away. Jumping in your parents' bed at night and them telling you to get out. No, you jump in there and it's like, what's wrong? It's like, I'm scared, I had a dream, there's a boogeyman, I saw some eyes in my closet, whatever, and they're like, okay, hold on, honey, we got you, don't worry. But they hold on to you tight and all the fear fades away. And as you get older and you have that moment, and it just varies by age, when your parents say something or do something that break that trust. And so some of us, we could have been 5, we could have been 12, we could have been 20. I think I was telling you once, I was being a little bit of a doofus when I was probably about 14 years old. And my dad, great guy, love my dad, but he said, "You good for nothing, something." And I remember like devastation. Like, and my brother's like, what are you, serious? Because my brother was a hellion, all right? So he was always getting in trouble. But I remember, because I had not experienced that kind of language from my dad ever. And I was just like, and my friends were like, that bothered you? My parents curse me out all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but that was my dad. You know? It's like, and all the times when I've said things to my kids, and later on I'm like, I got to apologize, man. I gotta say I'm sorry. Somehow that's hard to do as a parent. Especially, well, depending on how you grew up. You know, if your parents were from a generation where it's like, it doesn't matter what I do, you're my kid. I don't have to apologize to you, you little peon. I gave you life, I feed you. Shush. I'm not from that generation. I'm from the generation, it's like, oh, you hear your kids, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Right? You guys understand what I'm saying, right? Right? We all have different experiences. Some of them have been great, some of them not so great. But the thing that when you're young and you have fear, we look to something or someone to run to alleviate the fear, to know that when you're in their presence or when they've got their arms wrapped around you, that there is nothing that can hurt you. That's how you feel. It's just like, oh man, my mom or dad or whomever, it's like they've got me and I'm good. And then as we get older, we experience life and we experience situations where that fear leaves us feeling raw because we feel like we can no longer find the place of safety, whether it's our parents or our friends or whomever. And then it's like we begin a lifelong challenge of trusting anyone. Because the thing that keeps us from trusting is fear. There's a song that I play sometimes before the slides are playing. A few of you have never heard because you've not been here in time. The play on the announcements. And it's a song, it says, fear is a liar. Fear is a liar. Because you know what happens with fear is you start thinking about what could happen. And it lies to you. It tells you that all these things that are lined up, all those possibilities are probably going to come your way. And God's like, listen, if you want to have happiness, you're going to be in big trouble. Because happiness comes from the word happenstance. And it's completely situational. So some days we're feeling happy and we're feeling pretty good about things. Got a raise at work. Woohoo. Got a bonus. Yeah. Got a new car. Oh, man. Got new clothes. You got the box outside from Amazon. Isn't that great? Yeah, I can't wait to open that one. Which one is that anyway? Oh, I'm surprised. I ordered like 4 this week. And you get that feeling, that jolt, if you like to spend money that way. And you get in, you open, it's like, oh, this is great. And you feel good for a bit, and then it starts to fade, and then the next box comes. It's like, yay! I was just starting to feel a little bit down, but now I got a new box. Can't wait to open it. And you open it, and it's like, whoa, and then it fades. You see, because that's what happiness is. It's just always bouncing around. Nothing wrong with being happy. Of course, it's great being happy. But if you try to pursue that, you're going to wind up being miserable. Because nothing lasts that long. Jesus in John 4 said, I am the living water. If you come to me and drink, you'll never thirst again. If you drink from this water, and he's pointing to like a bowl of water, he's like, you're going to be thirsty all the time. You drink from it, and a little while later, you're going to need more. Like I do right this second. But the but the water I provide, you'll never be thirsty again. So you never experience thirst. But you have to trust him. And that's the crux of everything. If you want to have joy, that no matter what your circumstance says, you have to trust God. And for many of us, that trust that we have has been devastated. We don't trust anyone. It's like, how do you expect me to trust any man or any woman? My dad was a this or that and the other. My mom was a this or that and the other. These are the experiences that I had. How can I trust anyone? I think I was telling you guys about this little kid, Arheni, when I was in Brooklyn. Little Arheni, he was just a spitfire brat. Little guy, and he had a mouth on him. And I remember I'd come to this church, and I was doing ministry, and Arheni was coming, and I remember one day, and I've known him for a couple of months. I put my arm around him. I was like, hey, Arheni, how you doing? And he's like, get your blankety-blank hands off, you blankety-blank. And he's like this tall. So I reached over, I picked it. No, I wanted to, but I didn't. And it was like, what was that about? And one of the guys who had been working in the area for a lot longer than he said, Mike, everybody in his life wants something from him. He just doesn't trust you. Give him time. He'll see that you're being genuine. By your reaction to what he just said will show how truly you love him or not. Everybody else, as soon as he hears that, you see, because what people do sometimes is they immediately reject you before you can reject them. And if you do that, you see, it protects us from the feelings of failure and rejection. And so we're rotten to people at times because we could tell, we just know that pretty soon they're going to reject me, and so I'm going to get that upper hand on this one. I've learned how to survive, people. I know how to live. And that life is miserable. God's like, listen, I want you to trust me. And he knows how difficult it is. But he said, I want you to have this thing called joy in your heart, that no matter what is coming. When you're on open water and you see, as you're on a canoe, and you see dark clouds starting to come in and the wind starting to pick up, you start saying, I got to get to shore, right? When I first moved to Vermont, now everywhere else I ever lived, that's what I would see. I moved to Vermont, and I'm on a lake on a canoe or a kayak. I think it was a kayak. And all I see was the trees starting to move, like from a horror movie. No clouds. Bright, sunny skies, and I see trees swaying, and I'm like, what in the world is that? And I'm just standing there like, and I'm just looking at it. And then wind just comes flinging through there, and I'm just like, I'm tipping over, and I'm like, what just happened? And I'm panicking, I'm trying to get to shore. I have no idea, because it looks good and clear and fine. Totally broadside of me. I had no idea. And I don't even remember what they called it, some kind of a turbo wind. No, there's another word for it. It's not a tornado, but it's something. Anyway, but there was like no clouds, no anything. And I grew up in the Midwest, and I lived in New York City, and I've lived in Atlanta, and everywhere else, whenever storms come in, there's like clouds kind of precede it. And it starts to get dark, and it's ominous, and it's scary, and it's like, okay, let me go. And God's like, oh, no. This one I'm going to blind. No, that's not how we do it up here. We're Vermonters up here. We're going to freak you out, you flatlander. And so what happens sometimes is that's how life is. We have no idea that something's coming. I mean, it's good. Life is good. You don't see anything. There's no warning. And then it just comes and wipes you. And it's blowing you over, and you're struggling to survive. And it's like, God, where are you? Who is this? What's going on? Like you said you loved me, and now my life is a complete turmoil when it was just so nice. And he's like, do you trust me? Clearly, I don't trust you because I am right now miserable. And I am right now hurting, and I'm right now angry. And I'm angry with you first and foremost, and then with these other clowns as well. God knows that all of us are going to have issues with trust, issues with our spiritual walk. It's because we have this kind of a sense that we are in control. And in order to trust God, you have to relinquish your control of your life, of your kids' lives, of your grandkids' lives, as your spouse's life. You have to relinquish control to God. Now, what that doesn't mean is that you actually had any control to begin with. It means that you're trying to control, which we all know gets very frustrating unless we have a child who is incredibly compliant, or a spouse who's learned to say, yes, dear, whatever you say, dear, I'll do it right away, dear, right? Because everyone else, it's a struggle. And God's like, listen, I am going to move you in your life each day, and I'm going to do it as gently as possible. But I'm going to move you to the area where you see that your control is at best for yourself. You'll never be able to control anyone else or any situation, and you definitively cannot control God. And that ultimately is why we get angry with God, because we want God to do what we want him to do. We want him to think like we think. We want him to act like we act. We want him to like what we like and to hate what we hate. And God's like, no. I want you to love what I love. I want you to act like I act. I am your God. I created you in my image. I know what it means to have joy, and I want you to have that. But because of sin, because of selfishness, we move away from that. And we want to control all of that. And God's like, no, let it go and let me take it over for you. I will, and I'll be there for you. And I will allow you in the midst of heartache and trials and devastation and something that had blindsided you. And of course, if someone hits you in the stomach, you're going to double over to try to catch your breath. But when you catch your breath, you can stand back up and give that big smile, right? You see, because everybody's going to, when they experience life, man, it's not like you just, I'm happy, 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 I'm happy all the time. That's another one of those kids' songs. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, I'm happy all the time. What? Oh, it's I'm in, right out, right up, right down, I'm happy all the time. I don't think so. I'm not experiencing that. Well, I guess you're not a very good Christian then, are you? Because I'm happy all the time. I remember I was at a youth retreat, and the pastor who was preaching said, I've never had a bad day in my life. And I got so close just to walking out and yelling behind me, liar! You're supposed to be a pastor, and you're lying to me. You've never had a bad day in your life. What? No, of course you have had a bad day. We all do. We're human. Just because I'm close to God doesn't make me super. Well, maybe me. But I mean, most people, it doesn't work that way. We're not superheroes and have these powers because now we're close to God and we're discerning everybody. Like I got the gift of discernment. And I can tell that you're genuine and you're not. And you're, and so when you start to tell somebody and they're just like, hey, I don't believe you. I don't believe you because I'm picking up the waves right now from God. I'm picking up the waves. I'm feeling it. You're evil. And you're good. God's like, no. That's not what the faith is about. Oh, God gives us. He gives us gifts, and sometimes he gives some people gifts of discernment. It's not so that you can become a judge and discern everyone's motives, and tap someone on the shoulder and says, I'm discerning that you've got an issue in your life. Excuse me? I don't think you've ever even talked to me. Don't need to. Spirit of God gave it to me. Well, tell the Spirit of God to go take, no, don't ever say that to God. But you just, it's frustrating because people have such weird ideas, and we're like, okay, so what does it mean, God, to be close to you then? What does it mean? How do I do this? How do I experience joy in my life? Because this person over here says if I'm close, I'm going to look just like them. I'm going to act like them. I'm going to have the same politics as them. I'm going to like the same music. I'm going to eat and drink the same things. And I'm going to definitely be bald at some point. Or I'm going to be over here. And I'm going to be like this and that and the other. And God's like, no, don't. Listen, you need to stop comparing. You need to stop. I need you to follow me. That's why I say it all the time. I am not the lead shepherd of this congregation. I'm the sheepdog. I'm the one barking, telling you, follow God, don't follow me. You're going to be chasing your tail if you're following me. Follow God. I want to show you to follow the good shepherd. Follow Jesus. And allow him to teach you what it is that you need to do in your life, that you need to let go of in your life. That you need to, it's not like there's requirements to do things to pass the test. It's about how do I, like dieting. If you diet for a while, you know you've got to do a lifestyle change. Because if you just diet for a while, you'll lose weight and then you'll gain it back. Because if you go on the cabbage diet, which I tried once a long time ago, just eat cabbage all the time. Of course you're going to lose weight and you're going to die of malnutrition. You can't stay on a cabbage diet. Right? This is like, no, I got to do something, this lifestyle change. I got to start exercising more. I got to stop eating so many of those delicious Boston cream donuts. Don't eat those anymore. Get off the sugar. Get off the, and so it's like, how do I do a lifestyle change? I'll see people who they'll work out like, 4 hours a day. And they're eating in this, and they start looking amazing. It's like, and I'm like, God bless you, but I don't know if you're going to be able to maintain that, dude. Like, how are you going to maintain working out 4 hours a day? 6-7 days a week. Like me, all right, 3 days a week, right? Doing pretty good, hour and a half. Maybe I could work up a little bit more than that. Start to intermittent fast. The first day you intermittent fast, you're like, this stinks. I'm just skipping breakfast and this hurts me this much? I'll never do it. It's like, no, you see, it's a hormone. Your body gets adjusted to it. You're not even hungry after about a week. Then your body gets used to things. This is how we walk in faith. We're just like, all right, Lord, I'm going to try to read the Bible. And Joseph begat Jacob. And Jacob begot Versamphiliel. And we can't even read the names. It's like maybe we should start somewhere else. Maybe Matthew 1 isn't the place where we have all the offspring. Maybe we could start in the second chapter. It's like maybe someday that'll mean something to me, but right now, Lord, I'm just trying to figure all this stuff out. So I'm going to try reading the Bible. Maybe I should go to Bible study or home fellowship. Wait a second. That's an amazing idea. We even have them here. Sorry, that was a plug. All right, back to the sermon. And it's just the day in and day out of trying to get closer to God, to pray, to do that alone time, to be able to say, Lord, I want to experience joy in the midst of all of the hurts and all of the pains. And I know that all the past sins of my father or my mother or my family or my friends or whomever, because they were human beings and they were sinful, but because of their sins, I do not trust anyone. And I learned to trust because I have to trust you, because you will never leave me alone. You will never forsake me. You will never hurt me in a way that I cannot recover. God, you're always going to be there. And I need to trust that. And as we trust God, we open ourselves up to trusting other people because it's not their behavior that determines my trust. Do you understand what I mean by that? Because human beings are always going to fail you. Your perfect mom and dad, at a certain age, you realize they're not perfect. Those perfect children, you find out pretty quickly they're not perfect. But it's like, but that's because we're all that way. There's none of us who escape our humanity and our sin nature, our selfishness. But I'm going to trust God, and therefore I'm going to decide to trust you. And if you fail me, I'm still going to feel joy because God's like, don't worry, Mike, I got you. You don't have to fear. You don't have to just roll around in that self-pity of why this is happening to me. And God's like, listen, I love you. Smile. Philo, who was an ancient Jewish scholar, he lived a little before Christ and a little after Christ. He says about joy, it's the religious intoxication, it's the supreme good mood. I thought that was pretty good. It's like, how can you be joyful? How can you be in a supreme good mood all the time? And it's like, well, I'm not 24/7. You see, because, yeah, things will hit you, and you have to have time to be able to process what just happened to you. But as you get up and as you take a deep breath and as you're like, all right, God, thank you, because I know in the midst of this ridiculousness and this sorrow and this hurt and this fear and all the what could be's in life, you are here with me saying, I will have you. So let us all, and as we process through this journey of ours, that we allow God to continue to show us those areas in our lives that we have to relinquish control, that we have to let go of the hurts and the pains of our past, to be able to forgive, to have forbearance, to allow, to just say, if that person's not willing to reconcile, I can't change that. Maybe some people have even passed away, and you can't reconcile with them. But I can have forbearance, and I can say, Lord, I'm going to let that go. I forgive them in my heart because I know I can trust you, and God will never fail us. All right, let's pray.